Hopefully Chapter 1 went well for you. Let's move on to Chapter 2. We're going to start here with two complementary angles. Remember, complementary angles are two angles which add up to 90 degrees. So I'm going to start with a diagram of my 90-degree angle. Question says the measure of one of two complementary angles. So I'm going to split my 90-degree angle into two separate angles. I'm going to label one of them x degrees, and I'm going to figure out the other angle based on the question. So the measure of one of two complementary angles is 6 more than twice the other. 6 more, of course, means plus 6. Twice the other would be 2x. So now I have two angles labeled x and 2x plus 6. Find the measure of the larger angle. I'm going to go ahead and set up an equation by taking my two angles, x and 2x plus 6. I'm going to add those up and set them equal to 90 because, of course, they are complementary. You guys, I'd like to finish off this problem by solving for x. And don't forget, the question asks you to find the larger angle. Don't just solve for x, find the larger angle. The next problem here is a bit more complicated. It says the measure of the supplement of an angle is 10 less than 3 times the measure of the complement. So remember, this problem is different than the last one because we are dealing with both the complement of an angle, which we know is 90 minus x, the supplement of an angle, which is 90 minus x, keeping in mind that the original angle is x degrees. Okay? So the measure of the supplement of an angle, we're going to start out by writing 180 minus x, that's the measure of the supplement, is, of course, equals 10 less than, so we're going to subtract 10 less than 3 times the complement, 3 times 90 minus x. Okay, now remember, you have to put parentheses around the 90 minus x. If you don't do that, and you fail to distribute the 3, you are guaranteed to goof this problem up. So make sure you put the parentheses around the 90 minus x. And of course the question says find the measure of the complement. So I'm going to solve for x. 180 minus x equals 270 minus 3x minus 10. I'm going to combine some like terms. I'm going to get all my x's on the left, all my constants on the right, and solve for x, which I will let you finish up on your own. So go ahead and solve for x, and remember, to answer the question I'm asking you, find the complement. So when you do solve for x, make sure you plug it into 90 minus x. In the third question, again, I'm asking you whether or not you understand two key concepts in geometry: complementary and supplementary angles. Complementary angles add up to 90, and of course supplementary angles add up to 180. 1 and 2 are supplements, 2 and 7 are supplements, 7 and 8 are supplements, etc. Straight lines form 180 degrees, therefore that's why we have some supplementary angles in our diagram. So if angle 2 is complementary to angle 3, angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 90 degrees. The next piece of information that we need to be aware of is angle 4 being equal to 136 degrees. Like I said, being aware of supplements is critical to understanding how to solve this problem. So based on the fact that angle 4 is 136, we can find the measure of angle 3. How? By taking 180 and subtracting 136. And that's going to give us a 44-degree angle. Now, if I plug that 44 back in for angle 3, I see angle 2 plus 44 degrees equals 90 degrees. Simply subtract 44 from both sides, and that will give us our angle 2 measure. When we subtract, is going to be 46 degrees. So I didn't really ask you a question in this particular problem. I just want you to be aware of complements and supplements. I could ask you a variety of questions. I could say, what is angle 2's measure? You would tell me 46. Maybe I ask you to find angle 1's measure. Well, again, to find angle 1, you know it's supplementary to angle 2. So angle 1 is simply going to be 180 minus 46. What if I ask you to find angle 8? Well, you should be aware angle 8 is going to be the same measure as angle 2 because they are vertical angles. Angle 7 will also be the supplement of 46 degrees. Lots of different questions I can ask you in this diagram with the given information. In this next problem, I'm asking you whether or not you understand the symbol for perpendicularity. Perpendicularity, of course, means that we are going to have a right angle, a 90-degree angle. So PQ, perpendicular to QR, tells us we have a right angle, which of course has a measure of 90 degrees. So the angles PQS and SQR add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to eventually find the angle PQS. In order to do that, we are going to set up an equation, x squared plus 12 plus 43 minus 2x is going to equal 90. Common mistake in this particular problem occurs when people tell me that x squared plus 12 equals 43 minus 2x. That's not correct. We are not given a bisector. We do not know that these two angles, which I'm calling PQS and RQS, we do not know they are congruent. The only equation we can set up is the one I have written down. Now at this point, remember how to solve a problem that has an x squared in it. We're going to set one side of our equation equal to 0. So I'm going to combine some like terms first. X squared has no like term, nor do the x values, so x squared minus 2x. 12 and 43 is going to be plus 55. It's going to equal 90. Again, subtract 90 from both sides to set up my problem for factoring. X squared minus 2x minus 45 is going to equal 0. And I goofed that up. I'm sorry, 35, not 45. Now at this point, we have an equation, x squared minus 2x minus 35 equals 0. I want you to factor this, solve for x, and once you get your x value, remember, plug it in for angle PQS. You're going to plug your x value in for x squared plus 12. You may get two answers. Just because you have a positive x value and negative x value does not mean only the positive x value works. In fact, you may have two answers that work. You may not have a negative value for an angle, but a negative x is okay. So I want you guys to finish off that problem. Moving right along here, for whatever reason, this next problem seems to really give guys a hard time. Deals with a couple different concepts that we've discussed throughout the course of the semester. So first off, we know that angle BAC, which is this angle I'm labeling, is congruent to angle EAD. Alright? Now the whole key to this problem, or part of the key, is the addition property of angles. What you should understand, hopefully, is that since those two small angles BAC and EAD are congruent, it also means this angle BAD and this angle EAC are congruent by the addition property. For an example, if the small angles were 10 and 10, and this angle CAD was, let's say, 50, 10 plus 50 is 60, 10 plus 50 is also 60. The addition property tells us those two angles are congruent. Now, why is that important? Because in the given information, we are given values for BAD and EAC, those two angles. So what we simply need to do is take those two angles, 3x plus 10 and 2x plus 20, and set them equal to one another. Now, this is going to answer part A for us. This is going to give us our x value. So I'm going to go ahead and work this out, and x is going to equal 10. That's our part A answer. X equals 10. Now, to find the measure of angle BAC, we're going to have to do a little work here. First off, I'm going to take that x equals 10 value and plug it in for angle BAD. Angle BAD is going to equal 3 times 10 plus 10, which is of course 40 degrees. This angle right here, which I'm marking in blue, is 40 degrees. Now, the last piece of information is huge here. Angle CAD is 25 degrees. So now, I'm asking you whether or not you understand the subtraction property. Okay, subtraction property of angles. If BAD is 40 degrees and CAD is 25 degrees, we can take 40 minus 25 to find our angle BAC. 40 minus 25 is, of course, 15 degrees. So our second answer is 15 degrees. Angle BAE, we're going to have to use some addition to find that. Going back to my original piece of given information, BAC and EAD are congruent angles. They are both 15 degrees. So we have three angles now. We have a 15 degree angle, a 25 degree angle, and a 15 degree angle that make up angle BAE. Add them up, we get 55 degrees total. Those are your three answers for this particular problem. You may want to look at this problem multiple times because, like I said, for whatever reason, a lot of guys end up missing this problem. I went ahead and saved probably the easiest problem for last. In this particular problem, I'm asking you to solve for x and find the measure of all angles. Of course, the two angles given, 5x plus 8 and 7x minus 4, are vertical angles. They are, of course, equal. What I want you guys to do on your piece of loose leaf is to solve for x, find an x value, plug it back in, and I want you to find the measure of all four angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. Of course, 1 and 2 are going to be supplements, 1 and 3 are going to be equal. So finish up this review by doing this last problem.